lot of energy down there. What's the latest?
Sandra, it sure is. And welcome back to Washington. It's so good to see you personally. As you've seen yourself, there is a big energy here on the National Mall. The crowd sizes are smaller in the morning.
That is Fox News, live from the National Mall, telling you about the enormous energy at Donald Trump's brand new Great American State Fair. And I want you to do one thing while you listen to them say it. Look at the picture. Look at what their own camera is showing you while the anchor insists the place is packed. There is almost nobody there. So let me explain what you are actually watching, because it is one of the cleaner examples you will ever see of a network being handed a job and doing it on live television. Here is the setup. Donald Trump decided to build a state fair, his words, the Great American State Fair, on the National Mall in Washington. He posted about it himself, asking whether anyone appreciates what a fantastic job we did building it, packed with happy people, everybody loving it. And then he more or less issued an assignment to the friendly networks. Go out there, say there is so much energy, say people are having so much fun. And one network in particular took that assignment and ran with it. The only problem, the entire problem, the thing that makes this almost too perfect is that the cameras were on the whole time. So every time someone says the crowds are huge, you get to check. And the check keeps coming back the same way. So watch how the language does the work, the crowd won't. The crowd sizes, the reporter says, are smaller in the morning, but it has picked up quite a bit. We have seen more people come to see it for themselves. The fair is generating a lot of headlines. Notice what is happening there. None of that is a number. None of it is a wide shot of a packed mall. It is a series of soft, forward-leaning phrases. Picked up, more people, a lot of headlines, laid carefully over a frame with a handful of bodies wandering past a Ferris wheel. This is a technique. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You never quite say the crowd is big because a number could be checked and a wide shot would betray you. You say it picked up. You say more people came. You gesture at momentum, at energy, at vibes, because vibes cannot be fact-checked against an empty lawn. And when they do go to the fairgoers themselves, the message gets sanded down even further. This isn't about politics, people say. It's a chance to celebrate what America offers, coast to coast. Which is a lovely sentiment, and also exactly the kind of thing you say when the actual event cannot speak for itself. The crowd is not the evidence anymore. The adjectives are the evidence. That is the whole move.
To the test with a pancake eating contest. That's tough on any day, let alone in this kind of heat. The winner was determined by audience applause. The guy who won appeared really worried he wasn't going to be able to keep the pancakes down, but in the end, he made it.
Now here is where the theme of the day starts to fight with itself. Because the official theme, the banner Fox keeps reading off the chyron, is Make America Healthy Again. Maha Monday. And the marquee event they chose to show you on Make America Healthy Again Day is a pancake eating contest. In the heat, where the winner is decided by applause and the man who wins looks genuinely worried he is not going to be able to keep the pancakes down, that is the health programming. And it does not stop at pancakes. When they finally walk you past the food, the honest reporter on set actually says out loud that she is skeptical this qualifies as maha at all. And then reads the menu. Corn dogs, jumbo chicken on a stick, loaded mac and cheese, Chicago and New York style pizza, cheesy fries with queso. All of which sounds great. None of which is what you put on a banner that says healthy. So they need a way to square that circle live on air. And the way they land on is one of those sentences that sounds like freedom and means nothing.
You have the freedom to eat what you want.
Because of Donald Trump, you have the freedom to eat what you want. That's maha. On Make America Healthy Again Day, the health message is now eat whatever you like. And look, I am the last person who is going to lecture anyone about a corn dog at a fair. That is what fairs are for. The point is not the food. The point is watching a network start with a slogan, collide with reality, and then reverse the slogan in real time so that it never has to admit the collision happened. Healthy means unhealthy now. Empty means packed. Smaller crowds means it picked up. Every observable fact gets a little verbal coat of paint. And notice that nobody on set ever stops to acknowledge the swap. There is no, well, this is awkward, given the theme. There is no pause. The reversal happens at full speed and full confidence, because the entire skill on display here is the ability to say the opposite of what is in front of you without your face changing at all. That is not journalism. That is not even spin, really. It is closer to performance. And then, just to keep the day moving, they bring out the officials, one after another, like guests on a show, each one arriving on cue to add another layer of how amazing everything is.
He was president at the 125th, so I think we had Washington at the first, we had TR at the 125th, and we've got President Trump at the 250. All three of them remarkable change makers moving our country forward.
So now the framing gets bigger and, frankly, stranger. We had George Washington at the first, the guest says. We had Teddy Roosevelt at the 125th, and we've got President Trump at the 250. All three of them, and I am quoting, remarkable change makers moving our country forward. Washington, Roosevelt. And the man whose signature event is an empty pancake contest on the mall. That is the company they are placing him in, on a network with a straight face, to an audience that can plainly see the lot behind the reporter is bare. And this is the part I keep coming back to, because it is the actual story here. This stopped being weather and crowds coverage a while ago. What you are watching is closer to state pageantry. A parade of cabinet secretaries, the agriculture secretary, the interior secretary, brought out not to do their jobs, but to stand in front of a banner and tell you how amazing everything is. It has the texture of a reality show, because it is being produced like one. And then, to complete the picture, they bring on a doctor.
Historically, Obamacare had 9 million people on it. 9 million people. This year, over 23 million people apparently signed up. But of the people who signed up, 40% never used the insurance. Let me ask you a question, John. You have health insurance. Do you use it once a year?
Dr. Oz at the state fair to explain that Obamacare is a fraud. His pitch is that 23 million people signed up this year, but 40% of them never used the insurance. And therefore, the program is full of his framing, fake people the system is paying for. Now, set aside whether that number is even real, coming from a regime that has not exactly been careful with statistics. Just look at the argument itself, because it tells on him. 40% didn't use it this year? That is not fraud. That is insurance. That is the entire idea of insurance. You build a risk pool. The people who stay healthy this year pay in, and that money is there for the people who get sick. And next year, the roles can flip, because that is how health works. The 40% who didn't need a doctor this year are the reason the coverage exists for the person who did. Calling that waste is like calling a fire department a scam because your house didn't burn down. And the fact that this argument is being made at a fair between the pancakes and the Ferris wheel tells you exactly how serious the health part of Make America Healthy Again actually is.
And sometimes the pictures really don't tell the full story, because if you look behind us, you see, okay, there are a couple hundred people back there, but the truth is...
And then we arrive at my favorite genre of moment in this entire broadcast. The moment where the anchor stops trusting you to believe them and starts asking you not to believe your own eyes. Sometimes, one of them says, the pictures really don't tell the full story. Because if you look behind us, you see, okay, there are a couple hundred people back there. Stop. Sit with that. The job of a live shot is the picture. The picture is the evidence. And here is a network telling you on the picture that the picture is misleading, that the real crowd is somewhere just out of frame, in a wash of people you can't see. When the broadcast has to argue against its own camera, the broadcast has lost. That is the tell. That is the whole thing in one sentence.
You guys saw on the way over here, but I'm not kidding. I think there were thousands.
Yesterday, I said on air, hey, there are thousands of people. Some poo-pooers on the X are like, oh, thousands of people. The North Carolina booth was counting 880 people an hour coming through.
And once you start counting out loud, it gets worse, not better. There were thousands, one of them insists, because the North Carolina booth was counting 880 people an hour. So unless it's the same 880 people walking in a circle, there must be thousands. Which, first of all, is a booth's own number, about a booth, reported by the people running it. And second, listen to how defensive it is. They are not describing a crowd, They are arguing with the people online who looked at the same footage and said, that looks empty. The booths themselves, by the way, according to the independent footage people were actually getting, were buildings wrapped in printed sheets stapled to the frame. A laser-measured backdrop on uneven ground. The set of a fair, more than a fair, and the network's answer to all of it is to keep saying thousands, louder, over a shot of a few dozen people. Think about the position that puts the viewer in. You are being asked to distrust the most reliable thing in any broadcast, the live image, in favor of the least reliable thing, a number with no source, delivered by someone whose job today is to make this look like a success. They are not reporting the crowd to you. They are negotiating with you about the crowd. And the only reason a broadcast ever has to negotiate with you about what you can plainly see is that what you can plainly see is bad for the story they were sent there to tell.
Please, and that is how you get a delicious bowl of Michigan cereal coming in here. I can get all the udders, all the teats, squeeze it.
And just when you think it cannot get more surreal, you get the meteorologist live on the National Mall, milking a fake cow into a bowl of cereal, getting, his words, all the udders, all the teats, squeezing them to produce a delicious bowl of Michigan cereal that he then offers to the anchors back in the studio. And I show you that not because it is the most important thing that happened, but because it is the most honest. That is what this coverage actually is. A grown professional pantomiming a chore at a fake animal on the most famous lawn in America, while everyone insists it is wonderful, it is gross, it is strange, and almost nobody is there to see it in person. Which, in its own way, is the most accurate possible summary of the event.
Do you run the Department of Justice? I mean, they don't do anything, right? We need to set this up.
Even the booths are telling on the whole project. A reporter standing at the Department of Justice exhibit jokes that they don't really do much, right? Said as a throwaway, landing as a documentary. So let me pull all the way back, because the pancakes and the fake cow are funny, but the thing underneath them is not. What you watched today was not a network covering an event. It was a network being assigned an event and delivering the assignment, complete with the crowd that wasn't there, the health day built around junk food, the cabinet secretaries reciting how amazing it all is, and the on-air plea to ignore the empty lot in the background. The gap between what they were saying and what their own cameras were showing never closed. Not once in hours of coverage. And that gap is the story. Because a press that will tell you the mall is packed when you can see that it is empty will tell you anything about anything on a day that actually matters. Today, it was a fair, and the stakes were a few thousand imaginary visitors. But the muscle they were exercising, the willingness to read the script over the contradicting picture, does not stay at the fair. It travels. So watch the picture, not the narration. Always watch the picture. Speaking of which, here's the view from the top of the one ride that did have a working camera.
It's a view you're not going to get too often here, because there's normally not a Ferris wheel on the National Mall.